لا شك أن توقيع إنشاء منطقة التجارة الحرة الإفريقية الذي وصف بالتاريخي له حدث استثنائي، فأفريقيا ذات الناتج المحلي الإجمالي بأكثر من 3.5 تريليون دولار أمريكي ستصبح أكبر سوق منفرد في العالم. رحبوا معي بالسيد ألبرت موشانغا مفوض الاتحاد الإفريقي للتجارة والصناعة. His Excellency Mr. Albert Mushanga, African Union Commissioner for Trade and Industry.
Thank you very much, Director of Ceremony. Your Excellency, Dr. Mustafa Madbouli, Prime Minister of the Arab Republic of Egypt. Your Excellencies, Vice Presidents who are with us this morning. Your Excellency, Professor Benedict Oramah, Chairman of the Board and President of the African Import-Export Bank. Your Excellency, Dr. Olusegun Obasanjo, Chairman of the Advisory Board or Council of the first Intra-African Trade Fair. Your Excellency, Engineer Amri Nasser, Minister of Trade and Industry of the Arab Republic of Egypt. Your Excellencies, Honorable Ministers present here. Your Excellency, Dr. Vera Songwe, Executive Secretary and Under-Secretary General of the United Nations. Members of the diplomatic corps, buyers, exhibitors, and sellers, as well as ladies and gentlemen. I stand here on behalf of the Chairperson of the African Union Commission, His Excellency, Dr. Mustafa Mohamed, who could not be with us this morning due to other urgent commitments at the headquarters. The first Intra-African Trade Fair is the first deliverable of the African Continental Free Trade Area, even before the agreement has entered into force. This demonstrates the strong commitment that Africa has towards this event, which is a component of the cluster on trade information of the action plan on boosting intra-African trade adopted by the Assembly of the African Union Heads of State and Government in 2012. It was that action plan where African Union Heads of State and Government committed themselves and Africa to accelerate the establishment of the African Continental Free Trade Area by the target date of 2017. Negotiations on this historic undertaking were largely completed by December 2017, paving the way for the signature of the agreement on 21st March this year in Kigali, Rwanda. Your Excellencies, we are holding the trade fair in an ultra-modern exhibition number of halls. I congratulate the people and government of the Arab Republic of Egypt for providing us the excellent facilities and the standard that has been set, both in terms of exhibition halls and the turnout of exhibitors, has really set a benchmark which will challenge future exhibitors. We thank you, the people and government of Egypt. Please give them a round of applause. Thank you very much. Your Excellencies, the African Export-Import Bank, ably led by the hardworking, visionary, and highly effective Chairman of the Board and President, Dr. Benedict Oramah, both mooted the idea of the Intra-African Trade Fair and the editions, and put adequate financial resources to be where we are today. That we have subscribed in terms of exhibitors and trade deals is a testimony of the sterling performance of the men and women of the African Export-Import Bank. And again, I request you to give them a round of applause. We thank you, African Export-Import Bank. We thank you, Dr. Oramah and your team. We are equally proud of you. We greatly appreciate your vision to transform Africa through trade, and this is already yielding dividends. Your Excellencies, as we start the first edition of the Intra-African Trade Fair series that will take place every 2 years, we are also celebrating the emergence of one African market that will open limitless possibilities to the economic diversification and structural transformation as well as prosperity of Africa. The large and integrated market that we are creating in the African Continental Free Trade Area will stimulate increased investments, output, as well as improve the welfare of the African people, in addition to improving efficiencies. Over time, firms operating in our market will produce at lower costs, which also translate into reduced consumer costs and rising welfare among the African people. This is what the African people expect, and this is what they deserve. Your Excellencies, we are every day getting nearer to the entry into force of the agreement establishing the African Continental Free Trade Area. So far, we have 13 ratifications in terms of parliamentary approvals, out of which we at the African Union have received deposits of 9 instruments of ratification. We are in regular contact with African Union member states to find out their progress in facilitating ratification of the agreement. And the results that we are getting from these interactions show that there is encouraging progress. The feedback that we are getting is that 12 of our member states are in advanced stages of obtaining parliamentary approvals as soon as possible, maybe by March next year. Against this background, we are confident that we shall have the minimum number of 22 ratifications by the time the Assembly of the African Union Heads of State and Government meet in February 2019. When this ratification milestone is attained,
في شهر فبراير
not if,
شباط
but when,
من العام
it will be a significant development
2019
in the sense that on average it takes 5 years for African Union legal instruments to enter into force.
هناك حاجة إلى 5 سنوات للتصديق على سق دولي. تعتذر المترجمة ثمة مشكلة فنية.
Africa set and sustain a new standard of performance above average. In this respect, we call on all the 6 member states that have not yet signed the African Continental Free Trade Area Agreement to do so as a matter of urgency. In the same vein, we call on those member states that have not yet ratified also to do so as a matter of urgency. I make these calls because if we are to create one African market in line with the vision of the African Continental Free Trade Area, all African Union member states must sign and ratify the agreement. In this way, we'll be able to come up with a fully integrated market. I'm glad that African Union ministers responsible for trade are in this room this morning. I'm sure they will do the needful and take us closer to realizing the vision of the African Union and Agenda 2063 and Accord to have an integrated, prosperous, and peaceful Africa, driven by its own citizens, representing a dynamic force in the global arena. This vision is the guiding star of creating the Africa that we want. With this positive development, the challenge for investors, manufacturers, and traders is to be ready when the agreement has come into force. We plan to have the shortest transition between entry into force of the agreement and operation of the market. Before I conclude, I would like to add the following few points to my statement. My first point is to thank the exhibitors, buyers, and sellers, as well as participants in the conference segments of this trade fair, together with the visitors and the rich array of exhibitions, and because of this, you are alive of the trade fair. Today and the coming 6 days promise to be very lively because what you are going to exhibit. We also thank you for giving us a dream come true. My second point is to invite the buyers and visitors in this fair to appreciate the wide range of consumer choices that will be offered under the African Continental Free Trade Area. The range will be wider in the actual market when it starts operating next year. I make an invitation because increased product variety will contribute to the welfare gains of the African people. My third point is to deeply appreciate the presence of over 40 countries in the 2018 Intra-African Trade Fair. Some of them are coming from outside Africa. This shows the power of solidarity among nations. I invite all of us to contribute to the spirit of solidarity in this critical era when the multilateral trading system is under threat. To capstone my statement, and this is my fourth and last point, although not the least point, I would like to appreciate the dynamic role played by the Advisory Council of the 2018 Intra-African Trade Fair in providing effective oversight to the preparatory process. And I make particular reference to the chairman of the council, Baba Obasanjo, as well as his vice president, former President Ekra. Please give them a round of applause. With this, I would like to end my statement and thank you for your kind attention.